AFL Hour with Liam and Jeff. Good morning, Jeff.
Morning, Liam. Morning, Liam.
What a game it was on Saturday.
Very emotional game, but I was so excited. I told you this before. I was so excited to watch that game, and it did live up to the hype for me. For A, atmosphere, and B, just the all-round skill.
It was a fantastic game, and it was better because I was tipping Sydney versus Geelong to be a fantastic game, and that wasn't. It was a bit disappointing, but the Doggies are into their first grand final since 1961.
Amazing, isn't it?
Since then, since 1961, when they played the Hawks, we've had 14 individual prime ministers, not counting how Kevin Rudd went twice.
Oh, okay.
We've had 14 individuals. The top movie in 1961 was The West Side Stories. The top song was Who Put the Bump by Barry Mann. And since then, Hawthorn, who won their first premiership in 1961, has went on to win 13 premierships. Amazing effort.
I know, it really is staggering. And considering, I think it's just more special because when it was Geelong in 07, what did they have to wait, like 46 years?
44 years.
44
and
years?
Sydney in 05 was 72.
Well, the thing with both those teams is Sydney made the grand final in the late 90s against the Crows. And, I mean, the Cats made it a couple of times throughout the 90s as well. So it didn't really seem like that... it was a momentous win, but it didn't really seem that big of a deal when they made the grand final.
Maybe Sydney's 1996 one.
Yeah.
That was the original drought. So the Doggies have pretty much taken over all Sydney's drought.
Yeah.
It was 51 years, now it's 55 years, which is now over. It's been 22,652 days on Saturday since their 1954 premiership.
Amazing.
And it's been 20,097 days since their 1961 grand final against the Hawks.
It's amazing, isn't it?
And you look at the players Bulldogs have, they've had a number of Brownlow medals. I think they said 9 or 10.
Well, I know Cooney and Tom Liberatore were both Brownlow medalists.
Yeah, they've had Brownlow medalists. They've had all these great players, and their team of 09 with Barry Hall, Brad Johnson, Ackermanis, and all that. But this team got the job done.
Yeah, and I think what's amazing is we might talk about the Bulldogs a little bit later in the show.
Oh, we'll talk about Bulldogs all show.
But
it's all the Doggies.
Yeah, but I think it's because when you watch that game and you see Tom Liberatore watching his son playing in the stand, and he looked like a supporter, not a father. And you also see Luke Darcy, who was calling the match, and he was screaming. And if you look, you can probably find it on social media. When you see Luke Darcy, he was hugging Richardson right before the siren went. So I mean, for the history of that club, because that club went through so much pain over the last
55 years,
5 decades or whatever. So. I mean, they've gone through so much pain in the past. So it's good to see them have a little bit of joy right now.
It is fantastic to see.
Amazing.
And it was, like you said, it was fantastic to see Luke Darcy be a fan.
Yeah, and it was like Tom Liberatore as well. And the president as well. It's been a while since I've seen a president sing the song. Because normally presidents just stand there and they clap, but he was singing the song, and it was amazing.
And the only president usually sees show emotions, Eddie Maguire.
Eddie Maguire, yeah.
But like you got your job, and me and you getting into the industry of AFL, we've got to stop being as biased towards our teams, which is Essendon and Freo respectively.
Yeah.
And the fact that they allowed Luke Darcy that chance, because he put his heart and soul. He was the captain of the Bulldogs at one point.
Yeah.
Heart and soul for the club, and just to let him have that emotion, it's phenomenal to see. It's phenomenal to let that happen.
I understand that, and people will give him some flack because he is a commentator. You're normally supposed to be unbiased, but I mean, if you're Luke Darcy, was he a captain back in his day?
Yeah, he was a captain at one point.
I mean, like,
I'm 90% sure. I'll check you on our song and I'll let you know.
I think it was like in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But I mean, because when you play for a club, and he was that club, we spoke about throughout the season when you have that player who represents a club.
Darcy, Chris Grant, all those phenomenal players of the past.
Johnson,
yeah.
I mean, for a guy who lived and breathed with Western Bulldogs, I mean, he should have deserved to celebrate in the box, I think.
Well, I'll look up this as well, actually. When we talk about the Doggies Giants game in a few segments' time, there's been so many Western Bulldogs / Footscray players, and only a handful of them have played grand final. A few of them played in the 54 and 61, but there's 22 guys playing on Saturday who are the first Bulldogs players ever. In the first Bulldogs player since the 60s to play, and that's phenomenal.
I mean, we'll definitely talk about this throughout the show, but I mean, it's gonna be. If I would hate to be a Bulldogs player, because I know it's very exciting, but in a sense, you are carrying 50 years of just heartbreak for an entire club, you're carrying that on your shoulders walking into the game. I mean, all eyes are on the players.
I would love to be Sydney because let's face it, this is how, especially in Victoria, this is how we see the grand final: Western Bulldogs v question mark.
Yeah.
Because the media talks about Sydney because Leo, we'll get into him later about how he could not play, but Sydney has the best one. There's no pressure on Sydney.
Yeah, I mean they don't have that 72-year drought anymore. I mean they last time they played the grand final was like what
2014? Yeah,
2014.
And they won in 2012.
Won in 2012. So and I mean if you really think about it, if you just watch the Sydney and Geelong game, no one's talking about it. Everyone's talking about Bulldogs and Giants because that was historical.
Well,
and the atmosphere was amazing, but no one talks about Sydney and Bulldogs. And B, it's Sydney.
Well, but instead it was a 37-point win to the Swans.
Yeah.
Sydney, Geelong 8-12-60 to Sydney 15-7-97. And I think it's safe to say the first quarter was the game.
Yeah, no one could recover from that first quarter.
And it was, especially at the end, when Geelong had five, I think they kicked 5 points in a row, 4 or 5 points in a row.
And you know how I am with goal kicking.
Yeah.
I'm very picky about my goal kicking, and that just proves you need to kick goals to win games.
Well, we'll look at both of the games. Apart from the Doggies and the Giants, which were both level on points, Geelong kicked more points.
What was the scoreline again?
It was 8-12-60 to 15-7-97.
That's appalling in my books. I want to pose this question to you. Let's talk about the game specifically and why Geelong lost that game. A lot of people believe that Geelong having a week off, play a game, another week off, then a game, that could have hurt them physically. Do you believe that?
I do and don't, because I don't think it hurt the Giants.
Because they played 2 games in like 4 weeks or something like that, right?
See, I don't think it hurt the Giants though. That's like, yes, I do agree with the fact that because the Giants and Geelong both lost, maybe the bye would have to be looked at. But I think Geelong, they didn't come to play.
You don't think?
Sydney's the best first quarter team in the AFL, and when we go through the grand final, it's probably the big question mark on what the Doggies need to do to win.
Yeah.
But looking at the game, they didn't come to play the first quarter. Dangerfield and Sowell came to play.
Well, because my theories with games is what I've seen in the past was when you missed a week. I was sitting down, I was watching this game with my brother-in-law and his family. I said to him, in the AFL, when you miss a week, you're going to have a slow start, but when you get to the second quarter and you get your rhythm back, then you're going to kick it into gear. They did not kick it into gear.
Well, also you got to think about it like this.
It begs the question, is playing 2 games in 4 weeks versus what did Swans play? They played 3 games in 4 weeks? They didn't get a bye.
Nah.
3 games in 4 weeks. I mean, could that have... Do you think that affected them at all? Or do you think it was just simply...
I don't think it did. Well, you got to look at this like this. This is the way I see it. They played Hawthorn in the first round of the finals.
Yes.
And Hawthorn's been a shadow of itself towards the end of the year. They've had a terrible end of the year.
Yeah.
And they defeated them by only 2 points.
Yes.
Hawthorn then went out with straight sets, losing by 23 points to the Bulldogs, who are now in the grand final, but at the time we didn't know that. So, in comparison, Geelong looked weaker anyways as a team to Sydney, who lost to GWS, who proved they are a grand final calibre team, as shown on the weekend. Defeated Adelaide with ease. Coming in, even though they weren't favourites, came in the better looking side.
Yeah.
Because with the Hawthorn going out in straight sets, it's kind of like the whole thing where if you get bad marks in school, it reflects on the teacher type of thing.
I understand that, yeah.
Yeah, so I think Geelong came in not prepared. They weren't... I think there's a lot of issues. Daniel Mansell going out was probably their best, most consistent goal kicker of the team.
Yes.
Motlop, he's done at Geelong. Everyone's been saying it. I agree. Motlop's done.
So he had no motivation in that game, you're saying?
Hawkins is a one-man tall forward line never works.
Yeah.
So Hawkins didn't seem to work. Sydney used, the whole final series, they've used different avenues in goal than Buddy. So, big tick for Sydney. And Sydney's midfield outclassed Selwood and Dangerfield.
And what I kept seeing in that game, whether it be Enright or Selwood, was you often saw them being run down. They looked too slow.
Well, did you feel... I felt for Enright when I saw him crying.
Of course, because, I mean, when you look at that Hawthorn game, and you saw Smith miss the goal, Corey Enright, they shot the camera on him, and he was clenching his fist, and he was screaming.
Because I think that shows he's going to retire. He's the longest ever Geelong player. No one's played more games for Geelong than Corey Enright.
Yeah.
3-time premiership superstar, All-Australian this year.
Yeah.
So it shows how good of a calibre the man is.
Yeah, I mean, he really won in that grand final. I don't know. Well, after you win 3 grand finals, you kind of think, how do you still have that emotion? I'm not sure where he got his passion from, but he won that grand final. But I mean, I want to take you back. You know what? You will probably agree with me on this when you say, except for two players, and I think you know who those two players are, that entire Geelong team were not motivated. And can I just explain why? By the way, the two players I'm talking about are Joel Selwood, the captain, Patrick Dangerfield, the current
both 39 touches, which was phenomenal.
They dominated, and when you look at the statistics, you saw that Dangerfield and Selwood's names were on top of that list, and then you had Sydney after that. Now, I remember I was watching it on Channel 7, and I saw Tim Watson, one of the commentators, was in the Geelong rooms, and he said, Patrick Dangerfield walked in at halftime, and he goes, come on, boys, we're still in it. We're still in it, you know what I mean? But does that just prove to you that Selwood and Dangerfield were the only motivated ones who came to play that game?
Apart from Enright, I think Dangerfield and Selwood are the reason why they made top 4.
Yeah.
I said to you before the show, actually, that I think when we do talk about what Geelong and JWS need to do for 2017.
Yeah.
I think Dangerfield, apart from how good Dangerfield is, the fact that he's there might influence the club in a negative way when it comes to Duncan, Guthrie, Bitzarth, and Caddy in their development.
What do you mean by that? Why would that affect the development? Because I saw Guthrie play a magnificent game against the Hawks. I saw him as soon as he left Cyril Rioli, who's a star at the Hawks, he turned it on in the midfield. He was scoring goals. Why should we always be blaming Dangerfield and Joel Selwood?
I'm not blaming Dangerfield or Selwood for anything. I'm blaming Geelong's recruiting. You can't have, because you need a number 2 midfielder. You got Joel Selwood and Dangerfield, and you can argue 24 all day who's 1 and 2 at the club. But you need, and they're very close in age, and you need a third. Same thing with Hawthorn. Hawthorn has the same issue with Mitchell, Hodge, and Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been way too late now for them to get a young midfielder in to take over their spot.
Okay.
Geelong had the young midfielder with maybe Duncan or Guthrie, and yes, they can both play good games they have this season, but none of them now the number 2 midfielder.
You're right.
And they don't get that experience. So when Selwood eventually leaves in 3, 4, 5 years' time, and just say Duncan is now Geelong's number 2 midfielder, how will he handle the pressure? And that's mostly shown in Brisbane with Daniel Rich, who's probably the Lions' second best midfielder, and he gets tagged and he struggles with the tag. So players with Dangerfield, it kind of it halts the development of them breaking through that glass ceiling as an elite player.
So do you? So I mean, what's next for Geelong? Do they move Guthrie's in more dominating positions to push him?
I like Guthrie's halfback. He's good at halfback. Yeah, one of those halfback players who goes midfield later in his career.
Well, yeah, that could work. Yeah, but I mean, they do have a quality list there, and I mean, I think Smith is a terrific player. Just seems to have more consistency.
Yeah, he was a good picker. Menengola. I'm a big fan of Menengola. I remember he got drafted at Hawthorn, and he got delisted at Hawthorn after the season. Got drafted at Fremantle, spent 3 years at the list, got delisted without playing a game, and 2 years later finally got picked up by Geelong. So that was a good story.
It was a great story.
But Geelong, they didn't come to play. They really just didn't. I don't think they wanted to win.
You don't think they wanted? Well, let's talk about one of the big disappointments, I like to say, in that game was the performance of Motlop. I mean, I don't think he didn't think straight. When he should have been scoring for goal, he was passing him. And everyone's just saying stuff like, well, it's time for him to leave the club. Why? I want to pose this question to you. Why should he leave the club? What was wrong with his performance against the Swans?
I just don't think... I think he's lost the faith in Geelong. I think Geelong's lost the faith in him as a player. He's lost the faith in Geelong. Like why a lot of people leave... Like, a lot of players leave teams because they've had falling outs.
Mm-hmm.
He won't leave because of the premiership. He's more of a trade bait.
Yeah.
And the players Geelong want to get, I don't think Geelong should get, and we'll discuss that later on. But at the end of the day, Sydney's off to the grand final. They're third in the 2010s. In 4 years now, or 5 years, they've made 3.
Yes.
Phenomenal effort. I've actually got here. We talk about how good Hawthorn's been. In comparison, Sydney's now made 2 minor premiers, 14 and 16. If they win on Saturday, 2 premierships, 12 and 16. Have made 5 top 4 appearances from 2012 to 2016. 1 straight set exit, which was last year, and 4 prelim finals. So 2012 to 2014, and then this year. Then you got Hawthorn, 2-time minor premiers, 12 and 13. 3-time premiership, 13 to 15.
Yeah.
6 top 4 appearances, 11 to now. 5 prelim finals, 2011 to 2015, and a straight set exit this year.
Yeah.
So, just because Sydney hasn't done the 3-peat like Hawthorn done, they're by far the second best team of this decade.
Yeah. And I think what won it for Sydney against the Cats and what could win them against the Bulldogs is the fact that they're pushing up Franklin more up in that half forward midfield type position. Because when you do that, then
The AFL Hour with Liam and Jeff here on 90.7 Swinburne on Sin. And I told you last week, Jeff, that I have a feeling that next year's grand final will be the Giants versus the Bulldogs. And if it's anything like we saw on Saturday night, I'll buy my tickets right now.
I mean, the atmosphere was amazing. And what was staggering was it was a GWS. First of all, I just want to say I was happy to see it played out spotless.
I was excited. So it should be. It should be at the team's home ground. It was amazing.
And also, it was 50-50. Everyone said it was like a Bulldogs home game, but in my opinion, what I saw, it was 50-50.
It was 50. Especially towards the end of the game, the Giants got their voice up. And I don't know if I said it to you at last week, but I think this loss for the Giants, the best thing that can ever happen.
Yeah, and I mean, although they did lose, it should be seen as a positive.
Well, think of it like this. They're trying to grow their sport.
Yeah.
You bring your uncle who's a Parramatta fan
Yeah.
to this game. And he's like, oh, what's this? And he sees that game.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wow, the Giants are winning. They kick a goal. Come on, Giants.
Yeah.
And then they lose, and he feels that pain. Even though this is his first time ever watching the team.
Yeah.
This will get members on board.
If you explain to him, hey, this team hasn't been to a grand final since like the 60s or whatever, and then you kind of feel it a little bit more. But because we know the history of the Bulldogs, because we know the history of the Giants, that's why we were very emotionally involved.
And now the Giants have history.
They do. They have history now.
And that's the best thing. Now they have something next year. Like, if they go on and win this year, they win, they have no history to base on. Now they have that prelim final heartbreak to drive them into next season.
And maybe we can get a rivalry going up
after this. There's going to be a nice rivalry between the two. But at the end of the day, the final score of the game was the GWS Giants 12-11-83 to the Western Bulldogs 13-11-89. At the start of the last quarter, when we were a lot, but then Toby Green kicked the goal, and I think it was 16 minutes to go, and I'm like, ooh, if the Giants get a goal, it's over.
Yeah.
And I think that's what everyone felt. And even I think to myself now, if that game, 5 more minutes, they needed 5 more minutes of doggies not scoring. But the thing is, there was a ball up, there was a tackle, hand pass, kick to the forward, mark, goal.
Yeah.
It was 30 seconds after the end of that 14-point lead. But and it was such a hard game to score. If the Giants did kept the ball around for 5 more minutes and Doggers didn't score, we get to 10 minutes to go, Giants up by 14 points, they probably would have won the game.
Well, I don't know. I think the Bulldogs, just the entire season have been masters at zoning, and really knowing how to trap a ball into their forward 50. Even people say that if there was 10 minutes left in that game, then the Giants maybe could have gone up. I don't think so. They were spectacular. Did you see before Dixon hit the post when the siren went? If you just saw that play that they were doing, how they found
that was
space,
brilliant, yeah.
how they got into space, how they got into good positions. I mean, that showed to me that they won that game fair and square.
I think I do. I agree and disagree with you. I think if the game goes for 5 more minutes, it's not one of those games where we can choose who wins, because it was that type of game where the Giants could easily kick 2 quick goals. Biggest issue for me was Jeremy Cameron in that game.
Really? Why is that?
Come of the moment, come of the champion. He did it against Sydney. Looked like a superstar.
Yes.
Nowhere to be seen against the Bulldogs. Jonathan Patton stepped up, though, kicking the 4 goals.
Yeah.
So that's the best thing about the Giants, what I said to you last week. The 3 big talls can hit you. But Cameron, especially in the time of need, and Stevie Johnson would be kicking himself now that he got suspended, because they needed someone like Stevie Johnson. But you can't take anything away from the Bulldogs.
Oh, yeah, but I think Jeremy Cameron, it's not like he didn't play well. He tried to play well, but the Bulldogs' defence was amazing. He could barely touch the ball.
How good was Easton Wood?
Amazing.
Let's talk about... Okay, Taylor Walker won Best Captain of the Year award.
Yeah.
That should have gone to Easton Wood.
Well, I don't know. Well, how long has he been captain for?
He's not captain. That's the issue.
That's the issue.
He's stand-in because Robert Murphy's out. But he's taken the team that even he now says it's Robert Murphy's team. It's not his team. It's still Robert Murphy's team. But he's led on field all season. It's been phenomenal. Top class stuff.
It really has to be. And I mean, when you got a guy like Murphy, who he's kind of taking that position of I am the Western Bulldogs, it's tough to take over. But I mean, he's one of those guys that you think that someone spoke to him. Someone said to me, "Hey, look, mate, you know, Bobby's out. We need you to step up." And he stepped up. And then he is a real captain. So, I mean, to the extent of my knowledge, everyone's saying that the Bulldogs are trying everything in their power to get Murphy to stand up. But he's probably not going to make that game. Would you think?
Oh, he won't play. He's out
won't
for the year. But yeah, Easton Wood he's the only living now Bulldogs Grand Final captain.
Yeah, oh yeah, I mean that's actually true. It's
Yeah, Charlie Sutton passed away in 2010 or 2011.
Yeah,
and EJ Wyndham passed away in 95.
Wow. But I mean, let's talk about injuries. So when the Bulldogs first played, Jong, who's a terrific midfielder for them, had a bad shoulder injury.
Yeah, his collarbone. Yeah.
Played brilliantly for the VFL Grand Final. I think he won man of the match.
Yeah. Oh, did you see what he did though? That's what
I'm talking about.
And it was kind of great tactics, but they probably would have done the exact same thing this week.
Yeah.
If they didn't mention it.
Yeah. But you think we find so what happened was Jong injured his left collarbone. So then what he did was my brother was telling me what he did was he taped up the right collarbone. So in the VFL Grand Final, everyone's testing it out. Everyone's hitting him on that right one, and he didn't get injured, which is unbelievably smart.
It was
thing to do. Did he win man of the match?
Yeah, he won man of the match.
Man of the match. So do you think he's going to be?
He's an in, definitely.
Is he in? Who's going to be out?
Give me 1 second.
Because he was a terrific player, I think.
I have some outs. Fletcher Roberts will probably be out for Suckling, and I've got Shane Biggs.
Can Suckling get up though? Because he's
active Suckling, active Achilles.
Achilles. I don't think he can get up though.
See, I think Jordan Rufford's lucky.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't need to train.
Yeah.
Yes, he's got his eye injury and he can't really see. Who got subbed off, and that probably didn't hurt the Doggies as much as Callum Ward being off with a concussion.
Yeah.
Because you need your captain out there.
Yeah. Well, they have more than one captain.
They do. Don't they?
Yeah, I don't like that. But anyway, he worked out from this time.
But yeah, so Jordan Rufford, he got out. Matthew Boyd took the ruck role. Not Matthew Boyd, Tom Boyd.
Yes.
Took the ruck role. Did it phenomenally. For a guy who hasn't kicked a goal this final series, played a fantastic final series.
Well, yeah, because you don't need to kick goal to be a champion.
And I'm thinking to myself, we'll talk about how Travis Cloke has agreed to a 2-year deal at the Bulldogs.
Is that true? When did that happen?
A few weeks ago he's agreed for next year.
Okay.
And I'm thinking to myself, now where does he fit? He would have done good against the Giants.
Yeah.
With Tom Boyd having the ruck most of the game, that's when you need a Boyd.
Yeah.
Not Boyd, Cloke. But Jordan Rufford, he has until Saturday. He'll probably be named in the team, and if he still has trouble seeing by Saturday, he'll be a later omission. So that's Jordan Rufford's lucky. I don't think Suckling can get up.
No, me neither.
He looks too sore, but I think they might do some tactics like announce him for the team, but not actually play him.
Yeah, probably like a last minute thing.
Yeah, that's he. But I've got Fletcher Roberts who came in for Suckling and Biggs out. Unfortunately for those players, because no one wants to miss the grand final.
No, of course not. I mean, when's the next time? And Bulldogs, you don't know when they're going to make it next.
Yeah.
They're such a closed book. No one thought they were going to make it this year, and they finished 7th.
They destroyed it this year. It was good. How good was Clay Smith and Tory Dixon both with 4 goals? Because it was halfway through the third quarter.
Yes.
The Doggies only had 2 goal kickers, which was Dixon and Smith.
Yeah, I mean Dixon played phenomenally, and he was playing on Heath Shaw.
Yeah.
And I mean he showed Heath Shaw up that day. He showed Heath Shaw who should be playing the grand final.
Heath Shaw. If you're yelling at your teammates and you're winning and it works, you look like a genius.
Yeah.
When you're yelling at your teammates who are playing better than you, and you're losing, you look like a buffoon.
I know, and I mean Heath Shaw, he can get away with so much because he is a former premiership player with the Magpies in 2010. That was 6 years ago, and he can only get away with so much. Once or twice, yeah, it's fine, but I mean, when you're playing on, was it Charlie? It wasn't Charlie Dixon.
No, he played on Tory Dixon.
Tory Dixon. When you're playing on Tory Dixon and you're in a one-on-one situation and Tory Dixon pushes off of you, marks the ball, and then plays on and kicks the goal, that's on you. It's not on anyone else. No one should be, unless it was the GWS game plan to have a loose defender. But you should not be yelling at your other teammates if you're the one that screwed up. That's when you put your hand up and you say, "Sorry, guys, that one's on me."
Exactly. The one thing I noticed about both the Giants and the Doggies...
Sorry, because he did it 4 times.
Yeah.
In like a quarter. And I mean, but if you're in a one-on-one situation and he pushes off of you, that's on you, mate. You didn't blame your teammates.
The one thing I noticed, and the fact that the Giants and the Bulldogs pretty much play the same way. They're both
Very
coached
fast.
by Clarkson. Sorry, both coached by players who were under Alistair Clarkson.
Yes.
Very fast. A lot of over the top.
Very.
Someone runs into 450 unopposed type of thing. That happened all the time in that game.
Yeah.
Which might hurt the Doggies against the Swans.
Yeah, I don't really see it from the Giants that they call it the orange tsunami. when they just run off the halfback and then they just destroy you. Didn't really see it a lot from it. I saw them a couple of times in the third quarter, I think. But, I mean, the Bulldogs for the last 2 years, and I think you'll agree with me on this, have been just geniuses at zoning and keeping that ball on their forward 50. And I know how they do it. I mean, I've been to a Western Bulldogs game. I watched them at Etihad Stadium in the third level. I've watched them. And what's amazing about the Bulldogs is I was watching this game and I was thinking to myself, it was against North Melbourne, and I was thinking to myself, they just look like they're outnumbering them everywhere. What they do is they have 3 players that stand in the corridor. If the ball goes to the right of the field, those 3 players go to the right of the field. They just follow the ball. So, and they did it against the Giants, and it was phenomenal how they've done it. And they should do that in the grand final, I would think.
Oh, I 100% agree, Jeff. The one thing I noticed, especially by Eastonwood, when the ball goes into their defensive 50, they look like they have 20 players in there.
Yeah.
It's like 3 players go for the mark, and then you got like 4 players on the ground.
Yeah.
And they're just all in the defensive 50.
They kind of remind me of like Hawthorn in like 83 and 84.
Yeah.
That 80s side. I think Kevin Sheedy still describes it to this day when he says that team was so fast and Essendon couldn't keep up with them. The only way that Essendon could keep up with them was if they did like a shifty kind of hit every now and again.
Pretty much.
So
I actually suggested that. I was talking to I'll say my father-in-law, my girlfriend's dad, that I think to show that doggies aren't intimidated, someone should get decked.
Do you think so?
Because you can get a suspension. You miss around 1 next season. Like deck a Kennedy or Hannaby or Jack. Just let them know that they're not intimidated. Yeah, because the Swans could be the bullies and intimidate them.
Yeah, I know, and they do look like a larger side. When you've got Kurt Tipper and Lance Franklin in that side, they look like a bigger and look like a tougher side.
Yeah.
Do you think that? I mean, put a percentage on this. What do you think the chances are of the Bulldogs actually winning the grand final? I don't think that high. I'm thinking like 40%.
I will say it's 50-50. Every grand final is 50-50 unless you class the 2000 grand final, which was 90-10.
Because I think it's like Suckling's the only guy. Well, if he does play I don't think he will, but I think he's like the only guy in that team who's played in the grand final.
Doggies are coming into this grand final with more momentum than any team.
I mean, momentum's one thing, but pressure is something else. I mean, they've got a team. Australia is watching them. Not Melbourne, Australia is watching them, and who's watching the Swans? I think a lot of people forgot the Swans were in the grand final.
Yeah, I said that at the start of the show.
And considering the fact we're always watching the Doggies and we're always replaying when the siren went and the place is going nuts, compared to the Swans who just thumped the Cats.
Maybe if it was a close game for Sydney and Geelong, it might be a different story. But I do agree. I think the Doggies have a bit more pressure.
Yeah.
But they've handled. They went over to Perth, never winning a game in Perth, and destroyed West Coast. Then they had the pressure playing the Hawks.
Yeah, and
the reigning premiers, and they smashed the Hawks. Then they had the pressure playing GWS, and they smashed.
But this is the grand final. This is the grand final, and I mean, on top of all that, let's think of it this way: how many people are going to go watch the Swans train this week? How many people are going to watch the Dogs train this week?
I think they should move the Doggies training to the MCG just to fill it all up.
I mean, if I was Luke Beveridge, I would be. I mean, that would be terrific. Get him onto the field. Get him into that environment.
Oh, speaking of Beveridge,
they don't play at the G a lot.
No, speaking of Beveridge, did you hear what he did?
No.
They took like 3 buses to Sydney. He gave everyone $10 for breakfast.
My brother was telling me that. What I heard was the people who this is a story I know. The people who pre-ordered their tickets, I think, Luke Beveridge put $10 on their seat to get some drinks and to get some food.
Yeah, he's got the Doggies fan. The Doggies fan adore him. He is
because he took over the club when the club we all thought was out.
He is Jesus to the Western Bulldogs.
I mean, and if you look at it as in, let's take a look at the team. All right, so. Who was the coach? McCartney, was it?
Yeah.
Was it Jason?
Brendan McCartney.
Brendan McCartney. Jason McCartney's the singer. Brendan McCartney. So he was the coach. He got sacked. If my memory is correct.
No, he was signed, but he got sacked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He walked out. Who followed him? You got Higgins, who's a big player for the club. He left. Cooney, the Brownlow medalist, left.
Griffin, their captain,
left. Brian Lake, I think, left a little bit before
2012, and Liam Jones left, but he wasn't that good of a player.
Yeah. Well. We all said, well, if your best players and your captain and your former Brownlow medalist will walk out, then that's it for the club. And then he walked in there, and then it looked like he just tore the club apart and then built this new club and made finals that year.
I had Doggies last in 2015.
Me too.
Yeah, I put them down the bottom. I had them at 18th. I think, this team's going to struggle for a long time. Made the finals, lost to Adelaide in a great match, and now they're in the grand final. And Luke Beveridge, because he's got
off of 7th position, never been done in history of AFL.
And it's funny because it doesn't look like a first versus 7th grand final.
No.
It looks like a first versus second.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, I'm just interested to know because the MCG doesn't really suit a running side.
No.
And he had Stadium, which is the Bulldogs' home ground, is a much smaller ground, so it's easier to cover more ground. But I mean, the MCG is very large, and I'm really interested to know how they're going to deal with Franklin and Tippett. And I mean, when you looked at the Brownlow predictor, he had like 8 games in a row that he was going to score well in.
He polled in 15 games, and he's got the record high of 35 votes.
35 votes. I mean, he was a standout. Martin didn't really get up as you thought he would from the Tigers.
We'll go ranking. You got first Dangerfield with 35. Second was Luke Parker, who was pretty much second all night with 26. And third was Dustin Martin with 25.
Yeah.
He had a good end to the year, Dustin Martin, but, what do you do?
No. But, I mean, Paddy Dangerfield wasn't in doubt, and then he kind of proved to the nation that Geelong did use their money well when a lot of things were coming up. But, I mean, congratulations to him. He worked hard this year.
Oh, he won the greatest individual seasons of all time.
Yeah. He
deserved to win, and it was one of those things I like to think of. It was like Essendon in 2000. If Melbourne won the premiership, it would not have felt right.
No.
If Luke Parker went up and won the Brownlow medal, it wouldn't feel right.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you noticed. Did you watch the Brownlow medal?
Yes, I did.
Did you notice that more forwards and backmen and ruckmen were involved in the voting? I felt that there's a bit of a change than usual when it comes to I think there was Tom Lynch got more votes than you thought he would. Buddy Franklin, all these different forwards.
Buddy
got
Franklin
votes.
finished in did he finish top 10 or where did he finish?
Yeah, he finished top 10. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean those guys perform well. But I mean, like David Domenico played in the forward line and he won it, didn't he?
But mostly the last 20 years has pretty much been all midfielders.
I know.
So I think it's good to see. Maybe it was just me to notice that it looks like there was more different position players.
Yeah. And I think it's because there has been in the last couple of years we've had more umpires covering more ground. So I think there's more eyes around the field, and also it's not the old-fashioned way in you're a forward line player, you stayed in the forward line. Like players are moving all over the place.
Well, the one thing I've noticed, and it's going to be the end of the full-time ruckman.
Yes.
Sandilands, Mumford, Dean Cox when he used to play. Look at Jordan Ruff as a prime example for the Bulldogs when he plays on the grand final, and same with Kirk Tippett. Kurt Tippett's a natural forward who goes in the ruck.
Yeah.
Jordan Rufford, who was originally a backman, so they need him in the back line, and they need him in the forward line, and they need him in the ruck. So the days of a full-time ruckman, of just a solid build, Aaron Sandler's 120 kilos, 211 centimetre ruckman, are over.
Yeah. And we need to go more into those. You need a forward ruckman. You
need a ruckman that can kick 5 goals like a Simon Madden.
Yeah, or Drew Petrie back in the early days.
Yeah.
He used to always move in and out.
The one thing I realised, and talking about how times have changed, Dangerfield, Parker, and Martin they can all pretty much go on the half-forward line if you want to pick an All-Australian team for them.
Yeah.
Because they've all kicked a handful of goals this season.
Yeah, they did.
Parker, his 2 goals in 2 minutes destroyed Geelong in the prelim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it is interesting. Do you like this new style of football where you can just play anywhere you want, or do you miss the old-fashioned, this is your position? Do you miss one-on-one football?
Oh, I do miss one-on-one football. Because as a player, I was better at one-on-one football.
Yeah. But I remember, you can remember those matchups. When I was a kid, I loved watching Dustin Fletcher play Barry Hall. Because they were both kind of like the same build.
I like Scarlett and Lloyd.
You liked who?
Scarlett and Lloyd.
They were good. I remember, there was a player for Melbourne, I think his name was Carroll. He had a good rivalry with Lloyd. They hated each other. But they were always fun to watch. But
it's good, yeah.
Do you like how everyone's just keep moving positions and?
I think it's.
I can't because I was at the game where Barry Hall put Scott Thompson in a headlock. I was at that game, but I was thinking to myself the other day, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to see that again. That whole, they're going to knock each other out. I
actually don't mind it. I like because the game sort of changed. It's a faster paced game now than it was 10 years ago. You look at. When people are like, who would win? The Brisbane Lions 3P team, the Hawthorns 3P team. Depends what era you're playing in.
Yeah.
If the Hawthorns team's playing in the early 2000s, Brisbane will smash them. And, because they're tough and hard, and the Scots would probably deck 5 players before the game even starts.
Yeah.
That's the type of team they were. And now you got Hawthorn, I wouldn't say Hawthorn was a fast-paced team. They're very accurate kicking.
Yes.
Hawthorn can pinpoint a 50-metre pass to you.
Yeah.
Where now you got... the Giants, I'm guessing, will be the next powerhouse, who are very fast-paced.
Yeah.
and they want to get it from coast to coast as quick as possible, which you need players to play forward. Toby Green for the Giants. Toby Green, I think it was a few weeks ago actually, we spoke about the Giants taking on Richmond and how Ward, Cornelio, Green, Scully, they all kicked 2 goals each.
Yeah.
And it shows how powerful midfielders now can be in the forward line. Midfielders go back, backmen go forward. I think it's a good thing. Change is good.
Yeah, and I mean, the game's going to keep evolving, so we have to keep up with it. I am going to miss seeing those. I mean, everyone still talks about the. What year was it? I think it was in the 1999 Grand Final when they really mashed each other up with Kaczynski, and you had Martin, and you had Carey, and you had, Archer, and like they all had their own opponents that they ran with. But I mean, it's going to be tougher for coaches to coach defensively. But I don't know, it's still a fun game to watch.
Well, that's why, play coaches like Malthouse. That's why Malthouse failed at Carlton, because in that year from that 2012 when he didn't coach, the game changed.
Yeah, and I mean, he was so stubborn with his game plan. He used to always try to tell the Blues, he goes, run across the boundary line. Remember that? And then that's how it worked well for the...
Ross Lyon, also, I think the game's getting away from him as the coach. He's a very... Like, you can tell what coaches come from what coach. Longmire and Lyon both came from Paul Roos.
That's true.
And so that's why they're both very... If the final score is 0-1-1 to 0-0-0, they'll be happy with it.
Yeah.
Which is good when you're winning. That type of game plan is great when you're winning. So that's why Sydney's where they are. Where Fremantle with Lyon, by the time Fremantle gets up to the top 8 again, that game could probably do a complete 360 and we might be going back to structure.
Yeah, it's true.
So I think it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to go to that. I think we're moving to that. Because remember the 90s and the early 2000s where I think we both started watching it was when, like, the forwards were massive. And we used to all come and watch forwards to play. And we had that period in the late 2000s to about now where it was the midfielders. We used to all come and watch the midfielders play. I think we're now moving to that era of we're going to watch the ruckmans play. Because there's so much... we always have this spotlight on ruckmans. Have you noticed that? Todd Goldstein. We always spoke about Todd Goldstein. He was going to win the Brownlow last year. He didn't win it, but I mean, he was a chance. And I mean... That's it. Like everyone's and Majak Dor. Everyone's saying, "Well, I can't wait to see Majak Dor playing in ruck." Nick Natanui, he's amazing. Like we all gone is amazing.
Majak Dor is a prime example. What I was talking about, that forward ruckman.
Yeah, he's terrific.
Because he was the best player against Adelaide in their the elimination final loss.
What did he kick 4?
Yeah, 4 goals.
4 goals. Yeah.
That's him and Ben Brown as the future of North Melbourne's ruck.
I would love to see that.
Which none of them are genuine ruckmen. They're both forwards. Which is what you need. Teams now need 3 forwards. Giants got it. Giants,
I mean, not 3 tools though. What, 2 tools and a
they need
guy who can pick up the crumbs.
The way the Giants forward line is the way every forward line will probably be in 5 years' time. Cameron and Patton, the stationary forwards. Then they have Rory Lobb, who
was like a half flank kind of guy.
Who's a ruckman forward, and I think I don't know if you watched the game against the Bulldogs. You did actually. My bad. He took so many defensive marks, Rory Lobb, in the back line because he's so tall, and that's what we need now. Players like Rory Lobb is. He is the genetic... He's the blueprint, sorry. He's the blueprint of the future ruckman.
Yeah. Do you remember that Geelong 2017?
Yeah, phenomenal team,
Remember that forward line, though? What did you have? Stevie Johnson?
Mooney, Ablett.
Yeah, Ablett. But then you had Chapman as well. Like, they had such an amazing... I mean, I always say, like, forward lines are important, but I think half flankers are pretty important to collect that ball from the midfield and run it through the inside field.
That's what because everyone talks about the tall forwards and the small forwards.
Yeah.
The 180 centimetre forwards are also, and no one shows it more than Hawthorn with Gunson and Bruce, how important they were in their 3 premierships.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. We'll go back to the Brownlow before we go to our next topic. Patrick Dangerfield wins this year, demolished it, but Bontempelli, who didn't get, he got in the top 10.
Yeah.
He is going to win a Brownlow one day.
One day, but that Bulldogs team is just going to keep fighting for the next couple of years. I mean, they're still a young team, and they made the grand final.
And we're going to talk about the 2 teams who didn't make the grand final, Geelong and GWS. And what they need to do in 2017, for me, I've got Geelong. They need to rebuild. They've got Enright, Mackie, and Bartel have to hang it up.
Do you think so? Bartel, I think, is a great player. Who did you say? Bartel, Mackie, and
Night.
Enright. All great players. I don't think they should hang it up. They're old, but do you think they got maybe Enright? But I mean, they still got at least one more year.
See, that's the issue. And then you got
don't rebuild unless you have something to rebuild from.
See, that's what I think one of the biggest issues with Geelong, because that's all their backline.
Yeah.
Henderson, who's been in and out in injuries. Harry Taylor, who actually played forward against Sydney, who was injured as well. Closing in on 30, it was not already 30.
Yeah.
Geelong don't have any backups now that teams have, which Sydney did. Sydney did great, the rebuild on the run.
Yeah.
Geelong has rebuilt on the run, but they've also kept a lot of old players.
Yeah.
They've got to trade Motlop. I just think something's going on there between Motlop and the Geelong.
Yeah. His head's not straight.
Yeah. What I said earlier, that Dangerfield, as much as he's a great player, in the long run, he could hurt Geelong's development of their midfield.
Yeah.
They've got to find another a key forward. Zach Smith and Danny Stanley are good ruckman forwards, but
they don't need a strong forward. They just need someone who's very tall and flexible.
Yeah.
That can run and jump. Like who am I thinking of?
Jake Stringer.
No, a little bit taller than that. More Jeremy Cameron, someone who can Magic Door, someone who can just sprint and jump.
Yeah. And I've got don't bring in Daniel Wales or Pierce Hanley, who are looking to get in the draft.
Don't get anyone old. You don't need anyone old.
What I was saying about the Dangerfield factor would imply with both Wales and Hanley as well.
Yeah.
When you get Mitch Duncan is a premiership player. He played in 2011 premiership. Cam Guthrie has come in the league of his own. He's by far their third best midfielder. And you probably would have Caddy and Duncan fighting for fourth. Blitzarf, who's a ruckman, forward, midfielder, phenomenal player for 200 centimetres. That's what I have for the Geelong. I see Geelong fading Geelong will be in the top 8 next year.
But I mean, did they play finals last year?
No.
Well, to not play finals and then make it to preliminary final, they're doing quite well.
Oh, I think they are too.
I mean, it was an embarrassing performance against the Swans. I still think it's because they didn't play enough games compared to a team who played a lot of games and still had that momentum.
Oh, yeah, I think that was an issue as well. But we'll go down to the Giants. And I think the Giants keep what they're doing.
Yeah.
The only thing, the fact that Rory Lobb, there's rumours that he might request a trade back to WA.
Yeah.
Let's make sure he doesn't leave. The Giants have to keep Rory Lobb.
Yeah, do whatever you can.
That's pretty much the only thing they want to do. Make sure Rory Lobb signs.
Do you think it's time for Stevie J to leave, or do you think he's got one?
He owes them another season now. He owes them another season.
Do you think he's going to be? He wants to be a coach. Do you think he's going to become a coach at the Giants? Do you think he'll be a good coach at the Giants?
Yeah, I think he'll be a good forward coach, even a midfield coach. CBJ knows a lot about that.
I mean, when you get a banana kick named after you, as in a Stevie J kick, you're doing pretty well for yourself.
Well, I do agree. I 100% agree with that. And that's why footy AFL is an interesting game, and it's a game that always.
It won't die. I can't see it die.
It would always.
I mean, the NSL, which was the soccer league in the late 90s, died terribly. But
that was because of a lot of off-field drama.
Yeah, but the AFL will always be around. It's stronger now than it was when I started watching.
And AFL will always get better.
And I started watching like 15 years ago, like not that long ago.
I think the Giants are in much better position. Like now they're at the point where it's not, we want to get this many members by this year. They demand to get 20,000 members by the end of 2019, and they demand a premiership.
I mean, I got the Giants being put into the league was a big risk. No, not a big risk, but it was a big ask by the AFL because they desperately wanted to get Queensland and New South Wales to be an AFL state, because those were the two states that were classified as the NRL states.
Yeah.
But they're on the right track with Sydney, getting 60,000 ANZ.
This is going to sound silly, or depends how you take it. Does the GWS Giants feel like an AFL team now?
They do a little bit.
Like, I know the Gold Coast, you still look at the Gold Coast as that new expansion team.
Yeah, but the Gold Coast haven't really done much the last couple of years.
You look at the Giants, like, the Greater Western Sydney Giants are now officially an AFL team. They're in the
club.
Yeah, they're in the club. Where, I know it sounds... When you understand what I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know. But what you're saying is, like, you're so used to the old-fashioned one when you saw the Giants, and the Giants got bullied around a lot, and you kind of think to yourself, are they more a reserve team?
They're just a new team, yeah where the Gold Coast Suns still feel like that.
Yeah, but they have some rivalries. Like, I mean, the Swans one's really Boston.
The Doggies one would grow.
Hopefully that will grow, but you just need to have more. I want to say controversy, but more passion in that game style and more storylines.
Well, actually, it originally started in 2012 in their first season. They played in Canberra for the Prime Minister's Cup because the Doggies used to play in Canberra, and Julie Gillard was the Prime Minister at the time.
Right.
So that started from there, and then with Griffin and Boyd switching clubs, which grew from there as well. End of 2013, Giants won by 6 points.
Yeah.
With the goal in the last second. So they've had little sparks.
Mm-hmm.
And this probably will light the flame for a rivalry. Maybe not Geelong Hawthorn, not Sydney West Coast.
Yeah.
Not even, it's going to be a good game, a must-see game. Next year.
I mean, I can't wait to see Sydney GWS next year.
What about Sydney Bulldogs?
As in
GWS Bulldogs on
GWS Bulldogs?
Yeah, next season.
I would love to see it. I mean, I was excited to see it this year because they were just such young teams. And when you have that team they're both exciting to watch because they just run off their man. And they will have this running, handballing, kicking kind of style. You know what I mean? Just keep running. And because they're both similar, that's why I was so excited to watch it. But mostly because of the fans. Because you knew the fans were going to be loud.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful to watch.
I mean, did you hear the sound of the crowd when the Dogs walked out from the tunnel?
Oh, it was
amazing. And then, and GWS, they had a voice. And I think
it took a while for the Giants' voice to show, but it was great.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremy Cameron. When he kicked that one goal.
The point, no, he didn't kick the point.
Oh, it must have been Tom Scully that I'm thinking of. But the crowd got on their feet. But I mean, and also, it's working in Sydney because they got 60,000, which is more than Etihad Stadium.
The only issue with the Giants in Sydney, Gold Coast, Brisbane, is that once the teams start falling the ladder, the crowd will start falling at a massive rate.
Yeah.
But the same thing happens with Port Adelaide as well.
Yeah, Port Adelaide, we used to make fun of it. We used to say, the 300 supporters were very loud today.
Yeah.
We said a lot when they were failing.
So, it's going to be great. The footy in the Greater Western Sydney Giants, I think you'll agree, they need to have another preseason, get another year, more experience.
They need more people coming to their games.
They will. They'll be phenomenal.
Once upon a time, they said if you're going to the Manchester United versus A-League All-Stars game, you can get in for free. Remember that? They did a lot of that stuff. Now, hopefully in the future, they don't have to do that.
Nah, the Giants it's one of those games, you start off going, you go with your mate, you enjoy it.
Yeah.
You go with your parents, they enjoy it. You go with your uncles, they enjoy it, and then they go with their kids, and that's how it's going to grow.
And there's nothing wrong with the venue. The venue is spectacular to look at.
Oh, I really wanted to go this year, but I just didn't. It came at the wrong time.
I heard it's very well accommodated. I mean, I think Kevin Sheedy put in a barbecue area, an outdoor barbecue area.
Kevin Sheedy is their club, yeah.
I mean, he's got the medal named after him, the Best and Fairest medal.
Yeah. We're going to go to a song now, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Sydney Swans and their AFL Grand Final hopes here on the AFL Hour Grand Final. And there's a lot of ways the Sydney Swans can win. I've got a few, and I think everyone can agree, the buddy factor.
That is a factor. I don't like saying buddy factor. I just saying the tall factor, because they do have Kurt Tippett.
I know, but just the presence of Buddy. Buddy doesn't even have a touch, just the fact that he's there.
Well, that could hurt them and help them in a way, can't they? Can that hurt them?
Yeah. Oh, it hurt them, definitely. I think Sydney's defensive pressure, but then the Doggies also, that's for both and both, the Doggies and the Swans, defensive pressure. I don't know about you, but their grand final experience is always the key.
Yeah.
That depends. It all depends if you can handle it or not.
I don't think they can handle it.
2010, Collingwood had no experience where St Kilda did.
Yeah.
And Collingwood, even though they choked at the end, Collingwood, pretty much ran over St Kilda.
Well, look, the issue is when you look at the Magpies and the Bombers and the Blues, if any of those teams were in the grand finals today, I mean, there'll still be pressure, but not as much. Why? Because they average 80,000 people a game.
They do.
Bulldogs average 30,000 people a game.
Well, that means...
so there is an extra 70,000 people going to that game.
That is true.
I mean, and they're still kids.
You got Sydney's, they are the best first quarter team in the AFL.
And how do you stop that?
Well, the way the Doggies stopped it earlier in the season, you would think.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the only way for the Doggies to do that is they're very good at cutting that field in half. And I think that they need to get into that forward line ASAP. They don't have to score a goal, they just have to get into that area ASAP. I've
got also... For something that might not work against Sydney, they're going in injured. If they bring Callum Milnes, who's injured, if Aaliyah plays, who's injured, Luke Parker hurt his knee.
Yeah.
See how fine he might be. Nice rhyme there. I made myself laugh.
Good job. Good job. You're a real journalist, Liam.
I made it funny.
Okay. The injuries, grand final.
So, Kirk Tippett, who's still injured.
Yes.
He played good, but he's injured. And who was the last one? McVeigh, Parker, Milnes, Alia, and Tippett. No, that's it. So you got those players coming in injured.
Yeah.
It's funny that a team that's going against the Doggies of all teams is the one that's injured.
So, I mean, what are the Doggies taking? Are they going to take any risk going? Well, we don't know. We don't know. They haven't announced the teams yet.
Yeah, we'll know tomorrow. But Suckling and Ralph Everfield for the Doggies.
Yeah.
But also Sydney, I think, are 15th in the most inside 50s.
Yeah.
Geelong had 30 more inside 50s than them.
Yeah.
So the issue with that is, yes, Sydney's fine with the ball being inside their defensive 50.
Yeah.
They love to trap the ball in there. But if the Doggies can somehow score from all their inside 50s, you can't, more inside 50s usually means you win the game.
Yeah, I understand. But I'm just really interested to see how they play. Because I remember when we both watched the Dockers play the Hawks in their first grand final. Although it was a different team and they had more experience and different, different body sizes and all that, I think that if you look back at that game, they couldn't find a man in their forward 50. You know what I mean? I think that's what's going to happen to the Doggies. How are they going to get into their forward 50? Are they going to be nervous? How do you deal with this? If you're Luke Beveridge, how do you deal with the nerves? Because they still look young to me. There's only like 2 or 3 or 4 players who are amazingly experienced.
I agree. But remember, Sydney's a very inexperienced club as well. They're a shadow of their 2014 grand final. And Sydney...
But to still have those... Their key players are the most experienced.
They are. But then... So when Sydney, who made in 2012 and won, and that was... They had most tackles. I think they had over 100 tackles that game.
Yeah.
2014, pretty much, same team as the 2012 one. Played terrible, got smashed by Hawthorn.
Yeah.
And so we've seen 2 Sydneys in grand finals. And the big question is what Sydney shows up on the weekend. Because remember, Sydney's travelled, not as much as the Bulldogs, but Sydney, had to have played 3 games as well.
Yeah.
They didn't have to travel like the Doggies have, but Sydney's travelled.
They have to travel.
Sydney, despite the fact that they defeated Geelong at the MCG, they have a habit of losing finals in the MCG.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that can be against Sydney, but there's also a lot for Sydney. And it's the grand final is the grand final. That's why it's the grand final. It's the most interesting game. Everyone pays attention.
Yeah, understood.
We'll go to a song and we'll talk about the Western Bulldogs here on the AFL Hour on 90.7. Just a bit more at Western Bulldogs here on the AFL Hour with Liam and Jeff on Swinburne on Sydney 90.7.
We'll play the Sydney one later, just to even it out a little bit.
Yeah, we might play the Sydney one at the end just to...
Yeah, all right, we did it, okay.
So, the Western Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Can you believe they're in the grand final?
No, never in history has it been from 7th position, so that's amazing in my opinion.
I spoke to my lovely girlfriend the other day about how lucky we are, because in this, since we've been alive, since 1996 when I was born, I've seen Sydney / South Melbourne break their premiership drought, Fitzroy / Brisbane Lions, even though they're 2 separate teams, but the same team, win.
The
Cats break their premiership drought, and all interstate grand final.
And you can say Collingwood because they had to wait 20 years.
Yeah, Collingwood break their drought again.
Yeah.
The Doggies are now in the grand final. We saw 2 3-peats.
That's true. We did see that.
We are so spoiled for choice in where we are when it comes to footy. Even though we complain that Hawthorn's had the Aussie success.
Yeah.
Look at the premiership droughts. Yes, you have Melbourne 1964. If the Doggies win. Melbourne 1964, St Kilda 1966, Richmond 1980.
Yeah.
And then you get all the way down to Fremantle, who hasn't won one since they've entered, which is 95. Grand final droughts. You have Richmond again, which is now 34 years. Then Adelaide, who 1998. So it's been a very even competition with teams making grand finals and winning premierships.
Yeah, and I mean...
More even than we give the AFL credit for.
Yeah, but I mean... we saw the last ever draw in AFL history in the grand final.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about that. Yes, the last ever draw.
We're not going to have another one, so we get to see the last one. But I mean, we are...
and we still got to see an extra time in 2007. Collingwood and West Coast drew. So we got to see the extra time. See?
And it happened in the Hawks versus Adelaide as well?
Hawks versus North Melbourne in the early 90s.
Yeah. But, I mean, I can sit back and I can say to you over and over again, boy, I wish I was alive to see Gary Ablett Sr. dominate that 89 grand final. I mean, because that was an amazing display. But I mean, we saw a lot of history, and we're going to see more history, I think.
Well, no matter what happens on Saturday, we're seeing history. We want to see the first Bulldog player kick a goal since the 61 Grand Final.
It's been a long time waiting, so I can't wait for this Grand Final to start.
Oh, we've seen every in-state team apart from the 2 new ones, which for the Giants case, that will be over soon for them.
Yeah.
Make Grand Finals.
Yeah, so we're in the midst of history, and I can't wait to just see what unfolds Saturday.
Oh, I can't wait. And the Bulldogs fans, you know?
Yeah. Well, they're amazing, and you've got to feel for them because they've been through such heartbreak. I mean, I have a Western Bulldogs friend, and it just seems like, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, I was making fun of her because I'm an Essendon supporter, and they lost by 80 points. So it's amazing to see, in the space of 5 years, you can go from losing to a team by 80 points to making a grand final.
I've got here, this is hopefully loads, I've got my former manager.
Yes.
Her name's Sharon. And she's one of those tough as nails type of girls. She loves her doggies.
Yeah.
You could talk to her for hours about doggies. And she's one of those tough girls, and you think, never, wouldn't cry. This is her after the grand final. Oh, sorry, after the final.
Okay, we're going to a grand final. I can't believe it. We're going to a grand final. We're going to a grand final, people. I'm 50 years of age and I didn't think I'd ever see one. And now we're going to the grand final. I have my tickets and everything. We're fucking going to a grand final.
See, stuff like that is what footy's all about.
Oh, it's so emotional. And did you see, I mean, Tom Latorre is a former Brownlow medalist for the Bulldogs, and his son's playing for the Bulldogs right now. I'm like, just to see his reaction when the siren went and when they were kicking goals, I mean, that was emotional to me because, he was one of the major players for that club. I mean, his son's playing for him now. I think he's Tom Latorre Jr. Is he Junior or does he have a different first name? I think he's Junior, isn't he?
Yeah, Tom Latorre.
Yeah, and I mean...
Is it Troy Liberatore? No, Tony Liberatore.
Tony Liberatore, sorry. Yeah, Tony Liberatore. And I mean, just to see his reaction to the Bulldogs winning that game was really emotional. Just seeing the president's reaction. Luke Darcy, who's a former great player for the Bulldogs, he's a commentator now. He was emotional.
I didn't see on Fox Footy. I'm guaranteed Brad Johnson had a massive smile as well.
Yeah, well, he smiles all the time anyway, so it's not different. But it really was... It pulled at the heartstrings a little bit when they made it.
Now let's get down to business. And this is the they're there because they can win.
Yeah.
And here's why. Capitalise on their forward entries. They're going to get more forward entries than the Sydney Swans.
Okay.
I won't say they will. It's likely they will. The way Sydney plays this year.
Yeah.
Capitalise on it. Even if it's a point's more important than people. If you're winning, a point's important.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let Sydney get their first quarter lead.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
If the Doggies don't score a goal in the first quarter, but Sydney only scores one, that's
panic.
a success.
Yeah, don't panic.
I noticed towards the end of the game, either Sydney dropped off because they knew they had the game won, or they actually dropped off. Especially towards the end of the first, the Cats are coming back. The Cats got to 30 points. And I just had a feeling that Geelong, in the second half, Geelong was coming back. No, Geelong, wow. Geelong was coming back. And I believe... I've got the Doggies can run Sydney off their legs.
Yeah.
If it comes to a level of endurance, I think the Doggies can do it.
I completely agree with you on that one, and I think we should also take into. I think if I was Luke Beveridge and the players were coming through, okay, how do we take down Sydney? Simple. Keep the ball moving and for the love of God, keep the ball low. Don't go for those high balls because they are gonna get decimated.
Well, it's apparently going to rain. If it rains, I think it'll go in the Doggies' favour.
I mean, yeah, because. They're more of a just hand pass side, but keep the ball low and don't go high. If you go high, then those Swans we saw it against the Cats late in the year. If you get that ball high, they're gonna decimate you. They're really good at contested marking the Swans. Keep the ball low. Go for those chest marks. Go for those hand passes. You're at the MCG. You have the space to run. Use the space.
Exactly. I've also got. They have probably the best defensive pressure in the AFL.
They do.
They're sporadic. When the ball's in the back line, you have 4 or 5 players at the ball at once. If not, they use it on a man. The Doggies can do that. They can get the ball out. Like I said, they just got to stop Sydney from scoring. Yeah. And also with the Doggies, same with Sydney. I should have put this with Sydney. Multiple goal kickers. Sydney showed through the final series that they can have multiple goal kickers. The Doggies shown it all year.
Well, they've got to go defensive because if the Doggies go attacking, I don't think they're going to win because Sydney are just such a smart side. They're very intelligent. But I think what I've seen the Doggies use for 22 games, they have to do it in the grand final, which is get that ball in your forward half. You don't need 18 players in your forward 50. Pull 3 back. And they're brilliant at putting those 3 back, maintaining the pressure, really manipulating the game so they can play it, and keep that ball in the forward 50. Don't let the Swans run it out.
This is another thing that.
And also don't go for. You don't need to go for a mark. If you can go for a mark, good on you. Knock it down to the ground because they know they can win the ball on the ground.
Another thing I think the Doggies would benefit from. They went from Perth to Melbourne to play an away game against Hawthorn in Melbourne.
Yeah.
To the Sydney back to Melbourne. They've done a normal footy fixture.
Oh yeah.
And they played against the 80,000 crowd against Hawthorn, which was the biggest crowd they've ever won against.
Yeah.
There's going to be 20 more thousand people. That's 200 more thousand people. There's going to be probably 100,000 at the MCG.
You would think, yeah.
The Doggies.
You can't forget that Sydney's do still have that South Melbourne following.
They do.
So they're going to come.
So the Doggies have already had their grand final-ish game against the Hawks. Mm-hmm. But I think the biggest issue for the Doggies is did they play the grand final on last Saturday?
What do you mean? Do they not have it in them anymore?
I don't know. It's just did they play? I think Collingwood in 2011.
Yeah.
Played their grand final against Hawthorn when they did the comeback. Maybe because it was such a close game, but it seems like they played their grand final that game.
Yeah, I understand that, but I mean, they just looking at their faces, they don't look motivated for me. I don't know because they just
Bulldogs.
They're just after the game and throughout the week when you see them in interviews and when you saw them at the Brownlow Medal, they always just look nervous. I think they're afraid.
I think they're just excited more than anything.
I mean, I can't wait to watch them in the grand final parade just to see what they look like. If they look ready, then I'm backing them. But for some reason, throughout the week, they always look just very small, very afraid compared to the Sydney side. Who just looks so confident.
I do believe the Doggies can lose a game before they get onto the field.
Okay.
I do believe that.
Yeah, I do.
I also believe that Sydney can get too cocky.
They can.
A lot of teams get too cocky.
Yeah.
I don't think John Lymire gets the credit he deserves.
No, he's done some terrific work over there.
Well,
because they weren't tipped to win the 2012 grand final.
John Lymire has taken the Sydney/South Melbourne. He's the second most grand final experienced coach.
Yeah.
I think his name was John Burden took him from 33 to 36.
Yeah. And he's passed Paul Roos. Paul Roos made 2 grand finals.
Yeah.
He's making his 3rd today. This week, sorry.
So there's so much that we can talk about, and we're going to talk about it more. We're going to go to a song, and we're going to actually in depth preview the 2016 AFL Grand Final here on the AFL Hour. This is the AFL Hour here on Swinburne on SYN 90.7. And did you know that Sydney have equaled a weird record? Well, so they've tied second with a weird record.
Okay.
They've tied with Collingwood. And the Collingwood's also top of this. So Sydney made the grand final in 1996, 2006, and 2016.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it?
Collingwood made the grand final in 1960, 1970, 1980, and 1990.
And 2010.
But we're cutting off the 20.
Oh, okay, we're cutting off the millennium. Okay.
Yes. So that's an interesting fact.
It is.
I had Collingwood as Collingwood's also third, but I completely forgot where I had them.
Yeah.
So smiley face. So the Sydney Swans taken on the Western Bulldogs in their first ever grand final. It's also the first ever grand final where the two teams don't have their original name.
What? Oh, yeah, it's true because it was South Melbourne Swans
and the
Footscray Bulldogs.
So that's an interesting fact. I've got here, as you know, Sydney Swans are currently on 5 premierships.
Yeah.
The first one came in 1909, 1918, 1933. Then they finally broke their drought at 72 years in 2005 and now in 2012, taking on the Doggies with their lone 1954 flag.
Okay. Yeah.
So the Swans the thing is, the Swans been where the Doggies have been.
Yeah.
They are at the moment exactly 10 years ago. They've got Brett Kirk in their coaching staff.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Who played in the 2005 grand final. They've probably spoken to Michael O'Loughlin, who played in the 96 grand final and the 2005 grand final.
Yeah.
So he knows, they know where the Doggies are.
Yeah.
I think they know how the Doggies are feeling more than the Doggies know how the Doggies are feeling.
Yeah, I understand that, but you've still got these players. I mean, Lance Franklin? What is he playing? His 5th grand final?
Yeah, 5th grand final.
I mean, these guys. I know grand finals are grand finals, but some of these guys, like Franklin, they're just very warmed up to the ground. They know how the grand final kind of works. I just want to, and plus, it's Luke Beveridge's first grand final as a senior coach. He's going to be feeling a little bit nervous as well.
I don't think he is. I think he's calm.
That's weird. I don't know.
He's been calm all the final. He's just a very mellow guy. I just think he is. Then we go runners up, and this is, I think the stats here might benefit the doggies. We'll go in runners up stats. Sydney Swans, 1899, a long time ago there. 1907, 1912, 1914, 1934, 35, 36, 1945, 1996, 2006, and 2014.
Yeah.
So with my stats of the every 6,
Yeah.
they've lost 2 of them so far, so they could be 3 from 3. But Sydney does lose more grand finals than they win.
They do. It's weird, isn't it? Because it's, what is it, 05, 06, 2012, 2014. They've won 2 of those.
Yep.
Yeah, and they've lost the other 2.
They're 2 from 3, so...
And funny enough, the 2 teams that they lost against were the 2 teams they beat.
Yeah.
That's true as well, yeah. So I don't know if you're going to see the Bulldogs Sydney next year.
Then you got the Western Bulldogs, who came runners up in 1961. They lost to Hawthorn in their first... It's hard to believe. The last time the Bulldogs made the grand final was the Hawks' first premiership.
Yeah, it's weird. And that, I mean, because we were saying earlier in the program, when it was like Geelong and Sydney, they at least made grand finals they've lost some grand finals before they won. They haven't even made a grand final.
Well, Sydney had the 50-year drought from 1945 to 1996.
So they've been rebuilding since 1961.
Yeah. And it's finally come. It's finally come. It's good.
Finally, they got the right
But
formula.
see, maybe that's the thing. The doggies, especially in the mid...
Yeah.
Like 1997, the Western Bulldogs shouldn't have made the grand final. They choked massively.
Okay, yeah.
I know the Bulldogs fans are like Tony Liberatore kicked the goal.
And there was a point.
Yeah.
Remember that?
You had a 22-point lead. It shouldn't have mattered.
No.
That's why going back to the prelim final, there was an incident with Tom Scully, and they're like, "Oh, that should have been a 50."
Mm-hmm.
If the Giants were in front, it would not have mattered.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan on free kicks costing games, especially if you are in front.
But
and
sometimes, but sometimes it's got to happen. You know, like what are you gonna do? Turn a blind eye.
Pretty much, yeah. And then you got in finals. In finals, they played 4 games. The doggies are 3-1, so they're over them. I don't know about you, but I got my ends here. Sorry, I used the wrong mouse. The ends, I've got Callum Milnes, who I think they will put in. I don't think should be in, and Jay McVeigh.
Do you think Jared McVeigh should go in?
You need, yeah.
How badly bruised is he? Where does he have?
He's pretty much been out the entire year. He's been in and out the entire year.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think they'll put him in. Out, I think Aaliyah won't get up.
Really?
But I've got a question mark around him as well.
I mean, but they're going to really try to get him up.
And I've got Harrison Marsh. Like, just one of those young players that you'll put in for the experience. I don't think Teddy Richards will play. Or
No, he's not playing. I think he's retired.
He has retired, but he will retire at the end of the year, so he's still in contention to play.
Okay, but I don't think he's going to be. Because why wouldn't he? He hadn't played the preliminary.
Yeah, pretty much. I just think they don't need 2 tall forwards. So 2 tall defenders, because the doggies aren't that tall in the back line and the forward line.
Yeah, but it'd be good to have.
It would. With the doggies, I've got Ling Jong and Matthew Suckling.
Suckling for me has a lot of question marks.
Yeah.
Because why would you take an injured player when he didn't play in your preliminary, but you still won?
I do agree with that. Maybe the grand final experience.
Maybe. I mean, he did play for the Hawks.
But see, I don't. If it was me, if I was a coach, I'm putting my coaching hat on for both teams. You said before you're big on goal kicking. I'm big on players leaving.
Yeah.
Like, especially when it comes to money. Ling Jong has no reason to leave the Doggies at the end of the year apart from he wants more money. And Tom Mitchell, who's pretty much been linked to Hawthorn all year, and as soon as the grand final's over, he'll pretty much be like, I want to be traded to Hawthorn for money. I would not play either of them.
Really?
Why do players who want to leave the club or mentally already at the club, and I'm talking about Buddy Franklin in 2013, I would not have played him either.
Yeah.
Players who are already at the club, why do they deserve to be involved in your premiership success?
Well, I mean, the thing about coaching is you've got your playing. Well, you just said that you just use the analogy of hats. You know, you got your playing hat, so you got your coaching hat, then you got your business hat. And I think the coaches always kind of say, "Well, look, my responsibility is to coach this team, not to manage him. You handle the managing part, I'll handle the coaching part." That's probably why he's being played this week.
I just don't think players who are already mentally gone,
Yeah,
in their heads, should be playing.
Yeah, I get that, but I mean, he's I'm more interested to know if he's gonna go, but I don't know.
We spoke about this before, but Jordan Muffhead, do you think he'll play? Like I said, he can go all the way to Saturday. As soon as if he gets vision in his eye, he's good.
Well, why would you, yeah? Well, he got clocked with the top of the ball.
Yeah,
didn't
in his eye. Yeah.
Well, if he's not, the thing is, right? If you look back at the Brisbane Lions 04 Grand Final, they lost that Grand Final based off of injuries.
Oh, but they took in like a lot.
Yeah.
Most of their team was walking wounded.
Yeah, and I mean, so if you're the Bulldogs and you do still have, and your team just won the VFL Grand Final, which means that they do have still a great set of players, don't risk it. Why would you want to risk it? If he's 100%, play him. If he's 70% or 60%, don't risk it.
So that's why I think Jordan Muffhead, I think, will play as soon as he gets eyesight. That's all he needs. He just needs his eyesight to be back.
Yeah.
It's not a concussion. It's not an injury that needs a few weeks to get fixed. It's just his vision. If his vision's back fully.
I mean, it's not like he did any major damage.
No, and he's healing faster than you'll think.
Well, we'll find out Thursday, I guess.
So in depth of this grand final, it's like I said, it's a tough one to call. I've looked. You can look at it. You can look at it. I've got the footy record. I read the footy record.
Yeah.
You do your maths. I haven't tipped doggies once this final series.
Me neither. I said earlier this year that I'm going to make the grand final.
I thought they're going to get pummeled by West Coast by a tune of 100 points.
Yeah, me too.
Then they've surprised us. And to full credit for the Western Bulldogs, they are in the grand final.
Yeah, they are.
History now, they've made their third grand final. Win or lose, I remember saying, heading into the game against West Coast, the doggies don't need to win this match.
No, they don't.
To say their season was a success.
Yeah.
Because of all the hard things they had. They defeated West Coast, just thought that was a great win. They don't need to beat Hawthorn.
Yeah.
And then they beat Hawthorn. I'm like, that's good. They don't need to beat GWS.
No, they need to beat GWS.
Oh, they're getting to grand final, but to class their season as a success.
Yeah, oh, yeah, if you want to call it success, yeah, I hear ya.
But now they can't really go in with we can lose. They can't lose.
Well, look, I agree the season's going to be a success, but at the end of the day, if you get pummeled by the Swans by 40-plus points, then it's going to be a problem.
Oh, yeah, the doggies get out there and get absolutely pulverised. I think, what's the point?
Yeah, and I mean, and there's that whole thing about, oh, well, we did all this work for this entire year, but what do we have to show for it? You know what I mean? So, and everyone says, look, when you lose a grand final, you don't want to play a grand final, you know? So
I know it's going to sound cliche, and it kind of annoys me this is cliche, but the Western Bulldogs are my second favourite team. And not because... And the fact that everyone else is second favourite team kind of annoys me.
Yeah.
The reason why the Doggies are my second favourite team, funny little story in Liam's childhood here. In the year 2000, I went for Essendon because of my dad.
Yeah.
And they just came off defeating Melbourne for the premiership.
Okay, yeah.
And me and my kid mind, I'm thinking to myself, oh, yay, Essendon won. But too bad I have to change teams because you got to change team after every year.
Oh, okay,
So I chose the Bulldogs.
All right.
And can't remember. I don't think much ever happened. I think I still kind of went for Essendon. I'm not sure. But 2001 was the year I saw Fremantle play Hawthorn at the Docklands.
Right, yeah.
And the Fremantle won, and ever since then I've gone for Fremantle. So I'm like, I'll be nice to the Bulldogs and put them as my second favourite team.
Yeah.
And they've always been my second favourite team, based on the, I said I'll go for them, but I didn't really stick by that, so I'll put them as my second favourite.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here saying that in a Western Bulldogs shirt. I would have wore a Bulldogs hat, but it didn't fit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say Sydney Swans will win by 37 points.
I hope it's not that much, but they're going to win.
Oh, the way I see it, it's going to be a tight game until halfway through the third quarter.
Yeah.
And then someone like Dixon or something will have a shot to put the Doggies in front.
Yeah.
He will miss, and they'll go goal, ball up, goal, 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 goal,
No,
goal,
I see it
goal.
happening different thing. I see it happening. Sydney are just going to decimate them in the first half. They'll get their rhythm. They'll play well in the third quarter, maybe score 3 goals straight, but they'll still lose by 35.
So a bit like a Fremantle Hawthorn grand final.
Exactly, yeah. Because they don't seem like... I mean, you can play a football game, but the question is, can you play a grand final? Because people are going to think I'm stupid for saying this.
They're different games.
They're different games, they are.
Oh, I've played myself in the grand final. Under 14s, I think I was 14 at the time. So under 15s. And I've played in the grand final. I've spent most of the game on the bench because I wasn't one of the best players.
Yeah.
But even then, it's a different feeling.
It is. And I mean, I remember watching Sydney in 2012, and we used to always say, Sydney plays terrible at the MCG. Well, they didn't play terrible against the Hawks. They beat the Hawks.
And until recently, that's still my favourite grand final.
Yeah.
My favourite game would have been on the weekend.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in fairy tales.
Okay, yeah.
But at the moment, the Doggies are doing the closest thing you've seen to a fairy tale.
Oh, they are. I mean, it's a Cinderella story, isn't it?
It is, and it's a movie. It's one of those. Either the Doggies are going to lose by a point, and they're going to make one of those movies in end credits. The Western Bulldogs went on to win next year's premiership.
Yeah.
And then had show Luke Beveridge. Luke Beveridge coached the Bulldogs until moving to Hawthorn at the end of 2021.
Do you mean those old footy books I used to read? Remember those?
Oh, I used to read them all.
Yeah, it kind of like one of those. I don't think they make them anymore.
Also, this game is Dennis Comedi's final game.
Yeah, it's gonna be sad.
What a legend.
From a guy who respects commentators.
He is
level.
centimetre perfect.
44
40 years
doing this. Oh god, he's just the best. Remember one time he made a call. Bob Murphy was playing against the Cats, and then he struck the tackle and kept running through the middle. And then Dennis Comedy goes, he let him go. No wonder he's a bachelor.
Yeah,
he always is the great, and he's on Triple M.
And pretty much all his quotes are in the AFL games.
And there's a whole commercial dedicated to him on Channel 7 now.
He is so good. He's just the puns are the best.
I was talking to you about it, but do you remember I remember I was watching with my brother, and then there was this. Every time there was a fast play, he could keep up with it, and that was amazing. And we used to say, "Oh, look at Dennis go! He could keep up with a." It's amazing how fast he can call a game at his age, and he doesn't stumble, he doesn't fall over his words. He's simply amazing.
It is absolutely it's incredible what he does.
Yeah, it is.
And he's going to be a burden when he leaves, unfortunately. And back to the game, I've got Sydney winning. I have the Doggies a chance. It's not like you look at it, and I love to use this one as an example. Melbourne versus Essendon in 2000.
Yeah.
Melbourne had no chance.
Well, they did play well in the first half, but they did get pretty decimated by the end.
But the Doggies, they don't look like a team who's seventh. They look like a team who's been in the top four and deserve to be where they are.
Well, the difference between Essendon v Melbourne versus Sydney v Bulldogs is Essendon they only lost one game that year, and then the Demons won their last 7 or 8. So there was a difference, but I mean there isn't much difference between the Swans and the Bulldogs. What is there 1 game difference on the ladder?
2.
2 game difference on the ladder. That's not really that big of a.
And the Doggies defeated them the last 2 times.
They have.
So the Doggies know how to beat Sydney.
Yeah, but
can they remember that?
The Swans know how to study though. They are, and John Longmire is just a genius at studying teams.
This is gonna be cool. So I'm gonna do 2. If Sydney wins, they're gonna win by around 30 points. Isaac Heaney will win Norm Smith.
Yeah.
I'll have Papley. Yeah, Papley kicking the first goal for the Swans.
Okay.
If the Doggies win on the other side of the coin, they'll win by 15, 20 points.
Yeah.
I'll probably say Liam Picken or Bontempelli will win the Norm Smith.
Yeah.
And the first goal kicker will probably be Dixon. What about you?
I see Daniels being a Norm Smith.
I forgot about Daniels. Yeah.
I mean, he's I don't know. I've just got this picture of him just running through the midfield and getting those really good balls. So I think he would get the Norm Smith if the Bulldogs were to win. If the Bulldogs were to beat the Swans, they would win below 10 points. It's going to be a very close game if the Doggies can win. If the Swans win, I don't think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a 38-point win by the Swans. And it's just going to be one of those games when they're going to dominate early and then they're just going to hold that lead throughout the game.
So we're both tipping Sydney?
You know what? I'm going to tip Sydney. I don't want to, but I will. Because, we do want the underdog things, but what are you going to do?
We're both tipping Sydney. This is the AFL Hour with Liam and Jeff here on Swinburne on SYN 90.7. And after this week, the 2016 season will come to a close. So let's get our 2017 predictions in, nice and early. I have the Giants finishing first.
I have the Giants finishing third.
Third? Who's going to finish first?
Who's going to finish first? I'm going to go with, I reckon the Cats will clean up a little bit. They'll probably make it first, and then the Swans are going to finish second. Because you didn't think the Swans are going to drop after making the grand final this year.
I'll give you my top 8, and you know one of mine who's in the top 8 that we've disagreed with, but I'm sticking by him.
I don't think the Suns are going to be in the top 8.
The Suns will be in the top 8. The Giants will be first, Doggies will be second, Geelong third, Crows fourth, Swans fifth, St Kilda sixth, 7th Hawks, and 8th the Suns.
I agree with you that the Saints are going to be in there, but the North aren't. I'm going to disagree. Say Gold Coast won't be in the top 8, but the Demons will.
I've got Demons 9th, and I've got Richmond finishing last. I don't see Richmond having a good year at all next year.
No, they're going to struggle. They struggled. They were on the verge of struggling this year, which they kind of did struggle. They're going to get really hit rock bottom next year.
I've got the 2017 Grand Final will be between the Greater Western Sydney Giants and the Western Bulldogs.
I would like to see that. Yeah.
I got here the win of the Western Bulldogs, but I think the win will be if the Doggies win
Yeah.
on Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, on Saturday, it will be the Giants winning.
Next year.
Yeah, and if the Doggies lose, I've got the Doggies winning.
Okay. I just hope the Giants don't become that team who almost makes the grand final and then they finish like 7th next year.
It's actually a big week for sport. Records. You got the Bulldogs looking to break their 62-year drought.
Yeah.
In the NRL, Cronulla is playing the Melbourne Storm, and Cronulla, who's celebrating their 50th year this year, have not won a premiership. Leicester City earlier in the year won.
The Premier
Shocked
League.
everyone and won the Premier League.
Yeah.
Portugal won the Euros.
Right. Yeah.
And then we're going to go to the Gaelic football. Mayo are looking to win their first All-Ireland since 1951.
Wow, that's interesting.
So it's big weekend for record breaking footy. And hopefully, actually I go for the Storm, so I'm tipping the Storm against the Sharks. But if the Sharks get up and win, they get up and win.
That's true.
If anything like last year's NRL Grand Final, where it was a field goal that cost the Broncos, because I don't know, are you a rugby fan at all?
No, I don't watch it.
Well, the Broncos were in front by 4 points, which is a try at the Simon went. So it was one more play, and the Cowboys got a try, got a conversion, scores a level, and they kicked the field goal. And the Broncos choked really badly. And it's been a habit of the Broncos to choke against the Cowboys, especially in finals. But so hopefully a lot of records will be breaking this year. And who do you think I've got? My Brownlow medal would be, I'm actually going to go a big call. I'm going to have Dustin Martin going to win the Brownlow medal at his new club.
We disagree. I see a younger player winning it next year.
Bontempelli?
Maybe Bontempelli, if maybe someone from the Bulldogs. Sorry, Bontempelli from the Bulldogs. Like Daniels or something. But I think, just like you throw a Heaney in the mix. Zach Merritt scored 19, I think.
He did, and for someone who didn't make the All-Australian team of 40, that was by far
an amazing.
I understand Essendon finished last. I understand they had all this pop-up. Zach Merritt was elite. He wasn't good. He wasn't great. He was elite this season, and he should have at least made the team of 40.
And I mean, if he has a good season next year, I don't see why he can't win the Brownlow.
I think he got absolutely screwed over by not even making the team of 40.
Yeah, that was pretty disappointing from the selectors.
The difference between players playing good and players playing elite.
Yes.
We're going to go to another final song, and we'll wrap up the show here on the AFL Hour. Yeah. This is the AFL Hour with Liam and Jeff here on Swinburne on SYN 90.7, and this is our final time here on SYN, but we'll be back.
Even for me as well, I just finished my season on Get Through.
It's sad. Danny Boy, the pipes are calling.
Okay, yeah.
We'll be back next week maybe with the A-League Hour, a brand new show on 3SSR, and we might just wrap up on the AFL Hour. But this is pretty much it for the AFL Hour. Thank you everyone for listening. This has been a blast. Good luck to Sydney and the Western Bulldogs on Saturday, and may the best team win here on the AFL Hour.